Hello everybody. How are you all doing? I have been a long time since I've actually done a video, and the summer has gone by and now we're into fall today. I believe is today the 21st. It's the first day of fall and it's very autumnal here. Leaves are starting to change and it's getting pretty cool overnight. In fact, I thought maybe last night it might freeze overnight, but it didn't. So that's pretty good. Anyway, I decided that today would be a good day to do a video and catch up with you all, and hopefully I can continue doing videos on a more regular basis, not like I did over the summer. I had great intentions, but had a few little health glitches along the way on during this summer, so all fine. I'm fine now, but it was kind of an upsetting summer for me, so I think we'll just leave that where it is, and we'll move on to what's going on now. So my garden was a total fail this summer. I have to tell you that right off the bat, because it just has wigged me out something terrible. I had planted this great big garden again, and hardly anything came up at all. So I think I don't know, I lost a lot of my tomatoes that I had started on my own to frost right off the bat, so I had to replant all those. And I had planted carrots and none of those came up. I planted cucumbers. I think I got 3 cucumbers of the whole season. Lettuce didn't even come up. Radishes didn't even come up. Radishes are the easiest things in the world to grow, and they didn't even come up. Kale, my kale was terrible. It didn't reach even an inch out of the ground. So I pretty much, then I got sick and I wasn't able to be out in the garden. So I just gave up on it and I let it just be. And thankfully I have such wonderful neighbors around here, and everybody out here has a big garden. So I was gifted with beans. I was gifted with tomatoes and cucumbers and all kinds of different produce from people in the neighborhood and in the community. So that was really nice, because we still ended up having quite a bit of fresh vegetables and a little bit to freeze as well. So after all of that, and it was a drought, another drought year, and I think this is like the 4th year of drought that we've had in a row. And the garden that was here when we moved here was a massive garden, and I had already cut it in half. And the half, what that was left, was really big. So right after all this was going on, I decided that two people do not need such a big garden. So we have grassed it in. We seeded grass, and it came up beautifully. That grew just lovely. And we now have a beautiful lawn in the area where there was a garden. And I do have another area that I had sort of started a perennial and wildflower mixed garden. And it's about 8 feet by 8 feet by 8 feet, square. And I decided that I would move those flowers into my other perennial gardens, and I would turn that into a vegetable garden for next year. So I have prepped that all. I took a tiller and I tilled it all up, and I cleaned it up. I've added a bunch of compost out of my compost bin. I've dug that all in. And so that is going to be next year's vegetable garden. And I think it's going to be much more manageable. And also I'll be able to mend the soil easier on a smaller patch than I had before. So I'm quite happy about that. So gardening wise, it's been kind of a disappointing season, but like they say, there's always next season, so that's a good thing. We always have that to look forward to. So most of my summer was spent indoors, actually, and I wasn't able to do a whole lot of anything, but I was able to do some knitting and some stitching, and that kind of kept me sane from all the other stuff that was going on. So I actually did quite a bit of knitting, and I decided that I was going to make a pair of socks for everybody that I give gifts to. And I think I have, I don't know, maybe about 4 pair to go, and then I've actually fulfilled that promise to myself. But I've gone a little bit further and done a few more things. So I'll show you some of this stuff that I have finished. I have stuff finished, I have stuff not finished, and I have stuff up here that I want to do. That's the case, right? With us makers, while we're making one thing, we're thinking about the next thing. And I tend to not just think about the next thing, I tend to start the next thing. And so I get myself in kind of a muddle, but I think we all sort of do that. So I might have shown you this pair of socks before. I don't know if I had these ones finished before the summer. I'm not sure. But anyway, this is one pair of socks that I finished. This is a Croy yarn. It's nice and soft. These are great boot socks for the winter here in Canada. We need these kind of things on our feet in the winter time. So I got one pair finished. And then along the same lines, I have one, and I have actually almost finished the second one of these. This too is Croy yarn, and it's washable. It's so nice. The wool blends are so nice now. You know, it used to be you couldn't wash your woolies. You had to hand wash them and stuff like that. But now you can put them in the washing machine and just on. I don't put them in the dryer. I still lay them flat to dry, but you could put them in and just tumble them. So that's the second pair. The other one is I'm just doing the top of it. So that one is almost done too. And then I finished, you're going to laugh at the size of these, but actually they do fit him. I finished these big socks for Santa Claus. Yes, they are for Santa Claus. For my husband. He always has really cold feet. Summer, spring, fall, winter, it doesn't matter. He's always got cold feet. And he buys socks and he complains that his feet are still cold. So I decided to warm up his feet, and he loves these. He's actually worn these already, even though he's not getting them until Christmas. But he tried them on and he was so in love with them. So I made them extra long because his legs are always cold and his feet are always cold. And these are a little bit heavier. They're made out of a DK weight wool blend. It's I think it's 75% wool and 25% polyamide or something like that. And they're lovely. They're soft, but they're heavy. So he can't complain. He's going to have warm or cold feet this winter. I'm going to make him another pair just so that he has one to wear and one to wash kind of thing. But yeah, these are nice socks. So that's another pair. And then I have a pair of, I just got to put them in order here. A pair of these. I have not done all the finishing work on them, but yeah, these ones, these are actually made of the same yarn as the ones that I made my husband's with, but I used a smaller needle, so they're a little tighter, but they're just as soft, and they're going to be nice warm socks for a lady. And the yarn is self-striping yarn, so this is how it came out. It's not like I used, you know, like you can see it's darker up here and lighter down there, and then the other one is, they're not matchy, but it's made off the same ball. So yeah, this pattern actually is the first sock pattern that I ever knit. I chose this one. You know, you chose the more complicated one, but actually this is not a complicated pattern. It's a very easy pattern to do. But this was the first pattern that I ever knit, and I still like it the best. It keeps your interest as you're going through. So I have another pair of these, not in this color. Yeah, I think it's sort of a pink, but the same kind of wool on the needles as well. And then I have these footies, and this is what I wear in the house during the summer. And well, I don't really wear socks in the summer, but in the wintertime, fall, I always wear these kind. And also this is in that same kind of wool as what my husband's and those other ones are. just a different color, and it's a nice warm DK weight sock. You could actually use it as a slipper too, but it is a sock. So I have finished one, and I have one on the needles of these. And what else? Oh, one more pair. This one here, I have finished this one. This is a different wool. This is a fingering weight yarn. It's Fav sock yarn. It's a nice sock yarn, and I love the self-striping yarns. It makes it look like you've really done a whole lot of work when you haven't really done a whole lot of work. So I've got one done, and I've got one, I just cast on the second one of this. So lots of knitting projects, and I also finished this little hat. Isn't it adorable? I just love this. I have never done a lot of color work, and this sort of was a challenge for me because I really haven't done a pattern that had quite a bit of changing in it. But now that I've kind of got my confidence with this, I would like to do more color work. In particular, I would love to try to knit a pair of Nordic mittens. And maybe some of you don't know what I'm talking about, but I don't have a picture here either. They're the mittens that have all the patterns in them. They have all kinds of pictures on them. I would love to try a pair of those, but that's down the road. So this is for a little toddler, a little 2-year-old, and I'm going to make a pair of mittens to match it, just with a red cuff, and maybe, you know, I might even try putting a little reindeer on the mittens as well. So that's another thing. And then last week, I was tired of knitting socks. So I have always wanted to knit a pair of gloves. And I actually started several times to knit gloves, and I've always ripped them up because I lost my nerve. And so I think part of the problem was I never could find a glove pattern, really. Most of the gloves that you see, you know, in pattern books now are the fingerless gloves. And to me, that's just like knitting a mitt without the top. And to be honest, fingerless gloves are useless where I live. It's too cold. Like even now, in the mornings here, when I go for my walks, I have a very thin pair of real gloves on because it's cold. My hands get cold. So fingerless gloves in our climate are useless, you know. So I've never really found a really good pattern for knitting gloves, and I'm not that great on figuring it out on my own. So I just gave up on the idea. So the other day, last week, I was tired of knitting socks, and I wanted to do something different, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I came up here to my pattern. Most of these are patterns here. I came up here and I started going through patterns, and I have all of my mom's pattern books that she had from the time she was a young girl, I believe. Maybe some of them were even my grandmother's, I don't know. But I have a lot of pattern books that were popular during World War II. And some of them are like service wear for service people, men and women. And so I dug up those old books because I know back then they did do gloves and stuff like that. And I came across this book, and I'm not 100% sure that this was my mom's book. I also was gifted a bunch of books from my girlfriend when her mother had passed away, and her dad moved from his home, and they had found a whole bunch of her knitting books and yarns and needles, and Sharon didn't know what to do with it, so she just came over and said, here, do what you want with it. And I really have a feeling that this book might have been one of Sharon's mother's or grandmother's books. But this is the book here, Look at the price on it, 15 cents. You know how old it is if it's only 15 cents. But it is full of service wear for men and women. And it's a Canadian book. So, and I have a lot of the old Canadian style needles that have the Canadian sizing to them. So I had no problem in matching a needle or a set of needles to this pattern. So I chose this pattern here, up here, this men's glove pattern. And I thought, well, I'm going to give it a go. So again, I got out that same yarn that I made those socks with. It's that DK weight. And I got out 4 double-ended needles. And I started, and I did it. I was so excited that I actually finished one glove, and it was not all that difficult. I'm so pumped because I've always wanted to learn to do a glove, and it's not learning, it's just practice really. But I did it. One done. So I have cast on this morning. I casted this on, and I've been working on the second glove. I'm at the point now where I'm going to take the thumb stitches off. But I'm so happy that I finally found a glove pattern. The only problem was the patterns back 40, 50, no, probably almost 70 years old, 70 years ago. They were written a lot different than the patterns that you find today. Today, the patterns are very spelled out for you, so you don't have to count stitches per se. You use a lot of markers, especially for something where you've got gussets, and you can put a marker so you know that you're only going to be working in that between this marker and this marker. This pattern is not written that way at all. It's got asterisks everywhere. Instead of using markers, it tells you to change the stitch. So if you were using just a plain knit, you have to use a purl stitch. And I'm a fast knitter, and I try, I knew what I was supposed to be doing, but I knit right over that stitch so fast that I didn't even catch it, that kind of thing. So it was a bit frustrating for me. So I decided, after doing the one glove and having to rip out because I had not caught an asterisk, or they broke the sentences up and put periods, but the end of the row, to me, in my mind, when you put a period, that means you finish that row. Well, that wasn't the case in here either. They were putting a period behind everything. So I decided that I was going to, when I started the next one, this one here, that I was going to slow down, and I was going to rewrite the pattern in a more today's kind of a language. And so I am doing that, and already I'm whizzing through the pattern because it's so much easier to follow. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the whole pattern, and I might put it on my blog for anybody who wants to use it, because it's a great pattern. It's really easy to follow once you get rid of all of the brackets and asterisks and little dots and periods and things like that. So I'm pretty happy about this. This was a major accomplishment for me. And now that I've made one glove, I've changed my mind on who's getting socks and who's getting gloves. I make myself nuts all the time. So that's a lot of what the knitting has been going on. I don't think I have anything else that I've knit. I think that's pretty much it. I've done some stitching as well, cross stitching, and I did a picture, it's about an 8x10 piece for a wedding gift for my great niece and her new husband. So I can't show that to you because I've already wrapped it up. It's ready to be mailed. But it is that If I Live to Be 100 one. I think I showed that one a few times back. And then I've just done a few little ornaments. I've done this little one. It's not an ornament yet, but I've stitched it. Totally cute. This one will go along with the hat, the reindeer hat. for the little guy. I gave him an ornament last year when he was 1, so I'm going to give him a reindeer one to go along with his hat. And then I've stitched this one, the little gnome. I like this. I love these snowflakes. These were great to do. I really enjoyed doing these. So that'll be another ornament at some point. I have a lot of things that I have to clean up, you know, like a lot of these socks have to be, I have to put all these things, you know, sew them all in and do all that kind of stuff. And I don't mind doing the project, but I hate the finishing stuff. I really do. And that's the same with this. I don't mind doing this, but I really don't like making the ornament. I'm not a great finisher. I'm a good finisher, but I have to really procrastinate before I do it. And then I just started another little ornament. This is as far as I've got, but it's going to be, if I have, oh, here's it. It's going to be this one here. I have a shadow, don't I? There we go. Oh, it's still got a shadow. There. How's that? That's cute. So that one is started. These are small. They don't take that long to do. And then I really want to do this North Wind. This was last year's 2020 Santa from Prairie Schooler. I really want to do this one for myself. I think it's adorable. They put out a one every year, a Santa every year, and I haven't got many of them. I have a few, but I like this one because I like the rabbits in it. And then this one, I think I might have shown this one before. Isn't this the truth? If you're my age, you can really identify with this little one. Getting old isn't for sissies. True, true, true. So that's sort of what I've been up to over this summer. I've also been doing some of my art work, and I think I said before summer that I had entered 2 of my pieces, a cow and a horse, in an art show, a juried art show for our region here. And I actually won first place on the horse, on Lily, the horse. And when you win that, and I got an honorable mention on the cow. So because of that, my 2 pieces were automatically entered into the Manitoba-wide art show, which is still ongoing. I don't know. I haven't heard that they've chosen any prizes or anything. So that was pretty exciting because I've never done that before. I've never entered any piece of anything that I've done in an art show. I've entered in, you know, craft things, but not an art show. So this was a real art show, it's juried. And so I was quite excited about that. Lily, the horse that won, she's been sold. I've sold that to a customer. And so I've been busy making others because we have a really nice little facility not too far from here. They built a barn and they turned it into, one part of it is a really nice restaurant, and then they have a gift shop attached to it. And they honor artisans from around this area. They don't have anything, like Avon or Amway or any of that kind of stuff in there. It's only handmade or hand-produced things. So they have, for instance, they have some leather work in there. Some people do like saddles and boots and belts and things like that. They have a person who has a farm and they produce their own ground grain, so their flour and things like that. They have that there. They have bees, honey from local bees, and then they also have like crafty things too. So, but it all has to be handmade by somebody in the area. So they approached me and asked me if I could do a horse and a cow for their facility. So I'm just about finished my horse and my cow, and I will show a picture of them, or I will show them on another video. The horse that I've done, the horse is actually done. I just have to frame him, mount him on a frame. Is done all with blue jean material. I just ripped up old blue jeans, and even his mane is from a blue jean. I fuzzed out all the material, the threads from. If you unravel blue jean, you can get nice long, dark blue, and it's a little spotty, I guess, because of the weave of the material itself. Threads, and so I did his whole mane with that. I even put a bridle on him, and the bridle I used the seam that goes along the side of the jean, that really heavy seam. I cut that out and I flipped it, and I used that for the bridle. So I will show that all to you at another time when I get the cow done. I'm still working on the cow, and then I'll take that over there. So maybe I might even do some gloves for that facility. If she wants some, I would be happy to make some gloves to sell in her shop. So it's kind of nice to have your work represented as somewhere, locally, where people can. A lot of people around here know that I'm doing this, and there's a lot of interest in it, but I haven't been able to keep up, with the health concerns that have been going on. So I think, now that I'm feeling better, I might step that up a little bit more and do a little bit more. And then the other thing, I belong to this really fantastic group on Facebook. We all sort of gather from somebody else's YouTube channel. They have a thread on Facebook, and if you watch that, it's actually The Last Homely House. Kate from The Last Homely House, she started this, and so they have a private Facebook group called the Lime Green Sofa, and you have to watch Kate's things to know what the Lime Green Sofa is. Anyway, we get on there and chit chat. It's all a bunch of crafters, and it's great. It's people of like mind to me, and I enjoy it so much. And people show their work, what they're working on, and different things. And I happened to show a couple of tassel dolls. It came up on my Facebook. You get that memory on Facebook. 6 years ago, this is what you were showing. Well, a picture of some of the tassel dolls that I had made 7 years ago or something like that. No, it couldn't have been 7 years ago. Maybe 5. Anyway, doesn't matter. Came up on my Facebook thing, and I had completely forgotten about them. So I shared it to this group, and I got a bunch of requests for, for me to make a how-to video on how to make these. So I have only 2 left. I don't know. I guess I sold the rest of them, but I'll show them to you. I know I've never. Whoa! I dropped her. Sorry, lady. So here's the tassel. This is why they're called a tassel doll. It's hard to keep her from twisting. So this is one. Maybe there we go. And this is another one. These are the only 2 that I have left. I had quite a few. I think I sold them at an antique shop. Her tassels kind of. They're Victorian, very Victorian. Anyway, there was a request from several people for me to make a video on how to do them. So my next video will be that. I'm going to make, I have some tassels left, and I'm going to make one to show the people who have asked me how to make them. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, it'll be the next video that I make. You can maybe subscribe or press the little bell so that you can know when it comes up. And all what you really need for these is just, you need a tassel. This is a bought tassel. Actually, I bought a box of these at a garage sale. And they're beautiful tassels. These ones I think are made in Italy. They're gorgeous. So you just need a tassel and a head of some kind. I just have these are just like porcelain head and hands. And then you need material for embellishing whatever you want. You know, like I've just made all this just with some velvet and cardboard, and then some little bit of lace, flower, and fuzzy fur feather, and some velvet. This other one, you can see the tassel better on her. See, the tassel goes all the way up to here. This is all tassel from here all the way down. That's tassel. So this one, I just used some lace and a little bit of material for her bodice here and for her sleeves. And the rest is just cut lace. That's all it is. And a few little flowers. And the top has just got a few flowers. And that's all there is to it. They're very easy to make. Oh, and a little bit of... Actually, the reason she's got this here is because I dropped her and her neck came off. Her head came off. So I glued it back on and I put this around just to keep it. That's why this one I would never get rid of, because she's not 100% perfect. Actually, I could put her on my tree. And they are very pretty on a tree. So the next video I will do a tutorial on how to make these little tassel dolls. And I have quite a bit of tassels left over, and I think I've been kind of toying with myself on what to do with some of the supplies that I have, because I have a lot of supplies of things that I don't think I'm going to be using anymore, like tassels. I'm not going to make these anymore, really. I was doing things for an antique shop, and so this is why I was doing these kind of things, but that shop has now closed, and I'm not going to seek out another shop and do that kind of thing. So I have a lot of supplies that I want to move forward. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to update my Facebook page, my Erndale's Facebook page, or even my blog. I haven't written on my blog for a long time either. And I'm going to start that, writing back on there too. And maybe I'll advertise those things on either the Facebook page or the blog, and just sell all the supplies that I have over on there. Because I'm not going to just throw it out. I'm not going to send it to a secondhand store. I could do that, I guess, but I paid a lot of money for some of this stuff, and I would like to get a little bit of it back. I don't want to make a lot of money on the things that I have, but just something so that I can recoup some of my costs. So that's what I'm thinking of doing. Anyway. So how long have I've been going on too long. I have to be quiet. So I think I'm going to end this video, and I think I might put on some work clothes and go outside and do a little bit more cleanup, yard cleanup, because, oh boy, it really needs it. And I like to get everything nice and clean before winter hits. And you know, here where I live, winter can hit next month. We often have our first real significant snow in October, towards the end of October. A couple of years ago it was in the middle of October, but we're not going to hope for that. Be nice if we could get to November without snow, but that's just the charm of where I live. So I want to wish you all well, and I hope everybody's keeping healthy and staying busy. And we will see each other again very soon, I promise. Take care for now. Bye now.